It is my pleasure to introduce our first speaker today, our guest. He's not really a guest. He's more of like a new member of our family, our mishpacha. Shlomi Kofman. He's the new Consul General for the Pacific Northwest for Israel. And Shlomi is a mensch. He was here early this morning to speak to the 8th grade students. He was last night at a late dinner reception. He's all over the community right now. He's had a 20-year diplomatic career for the Israeli government. Most recently, he was in Israel. He served as Israel's Deputy Consul General in New York. He's served as Chief of Staff to ambassadors in Washington, D.C. He has served as our Deputy Ambassador in Thailand during the tsunami disaster. He served in Shanghai, and now we're fortunate enough to have him here in our own community. Please help me welcome Consul General of Israel, Shlomi Kofman.
Shalom. Boker Tov. It's so great to be here. Zach, thanks so much for the introduction. And thank you also for the warm hospitality from day one I landed here. Before I'll start talking about my connection to Israel, I want to send from here, again, our thoughts to the community in North Bay. I spoke this morning to the head of the Newman camp. I spoke with a couple of rabbis. And as we say, Kol Israel arabim ze leze. And when we stood with the community in Houston, we'll be standing with the community here. And it's morally, and it's in our thoughts, it's in our praise. And it's a message that is important for me to say here loud and clear, because sometimes people tend to, people ask, so what's the involvement of the State of Israel? So I'm happy to share and tell you what's the involvement of the State of Israel. And I personally plan to be there to visit the camp and to visit the centers this week and to try and see what can we help them and how. So it's actually not the first time for me to be here. I've been here 2 years ago. I came as an advisor to Deputy Foreign Minister Tzipi Hotovely, with whom I worked for 2 years, and previously with her predecessor. And I remember this conference very clearly. And it was the first year, it was interesting, challenging. We sat in one of the rooms after her speech and had a discussion. Some of it was not an easy discussion for me as an Israeli. But as Zach mentioned, it's important to have the discussion as a family and to preserve it as a family. So talking about families, we got here about 2 months ago. I came with my wife Sharon and 2 children, and I want to share with you, let's say, my first family recollection or memory, which actually brought me here and to be in the Israeli diplomatic service. I was born about 47 years ago in a town called Tbilisi, in the Soviet Republic of Georgia, to an ordinary family of an engineer and a teacher. But we were not an ordinary family, as we were part of a list called the Refusenik list. And for the 8th graders who are here, who are not familiar with this term, it means being forbidden to travel outside of the Soviet Union, being forbidden to express what you think, to practice your Judaism, to be yourself. My parents fought for 3 years to get out, to become, as we say, Am Chovshi Be'artzo. In 1979, we got out. The other turning point in my career, which brought me here, happened about 20 years ago, when I decided to leave the semiconductor industry and join the Israeli diplomatic service. It was during a relocation back in '97 in South Korea with an Israeli company. So here in the valley, like my friend, you're probably asking yourself, why did he do this career change? Why didn't promise a successful exit, as we call it in Israel, and a nice package of shares? Why to work for the government and leave a promising career? So the answer is simple. It is to fulfill my Zionist dream. It is because of the importance to highlight our democracy, as stated in our Declaration of Independence, to ensure complete equality of social and political rights to all its inhabitants, irrespective of the religion, race, or sex, to guarantee freedom of religion, conscience, language, education, and culture. It is because of the need to educate about the connection with our historic land, to stand against the poor and miserable decisions taken by UNESCO, to stand against delegitimization, to explain our unchanged position on Iran's nuclear ambitions, and more. It is because to change the chance to help people when they are in need during the tsunami, disaster, Haiti, terror attacks in Bulgaria, and more, or just people who lost their passport. It is because of you and us and the relationship that we have. My friends, together with you, I'm proud to be part of the miracle called Israel. Its values, spirit of innovation, achievements, diversity, and vibrancy. No other nation has achieved so much with so little, paying such a dear price, an extreme price, to rebuild our country. We'll have to criticize and analyze what went wrong, as Bernard Lewis' book says. But we also need to remember and say every day that after 70 years, we did it. We created a miracle. Let's remember that we are a young nation built through a different process than most countries. Waves of immigrants from different continents, security, wars, social challenges. We're not perfect, but I don't think there is a perfect country. Yet we find our unique way to govern our disputes and diversity, to correct when needed, to fight for the right correction, and to innovate and move forward. As a father of two children, Emma and Jonathan, I see a tremendous importance to preserve the next generation connection with the State of Israel. That is why I appreciate the chance to speak to the 8th graders like an hour ago. By making sure that the next generation will obtain the necessary knowledge about Israel, the clear picture, full picture, transparent picture, we will preserve the curiosity to continue the engagement with Israel in the way that suits them in order to overcome the geographical and conceptual distances and gaps. As you know, the connection between the community and Israel is vital for all of us. It is vital to our people as well as to our nations. You are part of this historical, moral, people-to-people, economic and political connection. We just need to make sure that same happens in the future. Allow me to conclude and say how happy I am to be here today, for the opportunity to speak to you, to work with you, to be part of this community. And special thanks to Zach, to Orly, to Ronit, and the rest of the team for putting this conference, making this bridge, and building the bridges between the two communities. Thank you so much, and enjoy the conference.